The story of Exodus. This is the desert. So many important things happen in the desert that we needed a piece of it right here with us. The desert is a wonderful and beautiful but dangerous place. It almost never rains in the desert, so it's hard to grow anything or find water. People can die in the desert. When the wind comes, it blows and changes the shape of the desert. People can get lost. People don't go to the desert unless they have to. The people of God were living in a place where the rains did not come. The crops had no water, so they could not grow. There was no grain to grind into bread. Everyone was hungry. The children cried at night. So their mothers and fathers decided to take their children to go to a new land where there was food. They had to go, even if it meant crossing the desert. Their journey began, and it was hard in the desert, but they kept going toward a land called Egypt. Now, in Egypt, there was a king called a Pharaoh. And when people came into the land of Egypt, they found food and work. But Pharaoh trapped them. They could not go home again. They had to do what the Pharaoh said. They had to eat what the Pharaoh said to eat. They had to work when the Pharaoh said to work. They were slaves. Now, one of the people, whose name was Moses, came to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And Pharaoh said, "No." Moses came back to Pharaoh many times to tell the Pharaoh to let the people go. But Pharaoh said, "No." Then many strange things started happening in the land, but the Pharaoh always said, "No." And then something terrible happened. The oldest boy in each Egyptian family, even in the family of Pharaoh, died. But the oldest boys in the families of the people of God did not die, because the people made a mark on the doors of their houses. They put the blood of the lamb there, and the angel of death passed over them. When Moses went back to Pharaoh this time and said, "Let my people go," the Pharaoh said, "Yes." So the people began to hurry to get everything ready. They packed all they could carry. There was no time to put leaven in the bread so that it would swell up and get big like the bread you buy in the store. It was flat, and today you can still buy bread like that. You can still taste the story. The people went as fast as they could out of Egypt. But then they came to a great river. And then they heard a sound they did not want to hear. The ground started to shake. The Pharaoh's army was coming up behind them and forcing them against the water. They didn't know what to do. But then God came so close to Moses, and Moses came so close to God that he knew how to take the people of God through the river into freedom. Some were so scared they could barely move. Some ran through. Some were happy. Some were confused. When all the people were safe on the other side, the water closed behind them, and they were free. The army of Pharaoh could not get to them. Now the people of God were free on the other side. They were so happy. They just had to give thanks to God. And Miriam, the sister of Moses, led the dancing. Now I wonder which part of the story you liked best. I wonder what part of the story is the most important. I wonder what part of the story is about you, or who you are in this story. I wonder if there's any part of this story that we can leave out and still have the story we need.